functioning that you have a tendency to operate in. Explain what that means.
Meaning, he's high functioning enough to be able to make sure our relationship functions at a healthy level without impairment. We're not abusing each other. We can have conversations. We have emotional intelligence. We can talk, agree to disagree. We can trust each other. We're rooted in those high functioning things. Everything is not about investigation of what's going on. No, we're mature. He can feel what he feels and regulate his emotions so that we're not having chaos all the time. Yeah. He can disagree with me and still go to bed and love me in the morning, maybe revisit it or let it go and let it take its form because he has that strong faith in God that it's going to do what it's supposed to do anyways. Teach. So go on and just keep loving her. Those are high functioning. He knows how to have real commitment is high functioning, which is he knows how to stay and stick and be while the love comes in and the love comes out, because that's a real relationship. The love looks different every season, every year, depending on what you're doing, what he's doing, what you're going through. Love just looks different. It feels different. And commitment is doing what you said you was going to do regardless of how you feel. Can he stick in it and not go outside of these doors, right? While we get this thing back on track.
Good.
And for women, because sidebar real quick, women too, I don't want to just get on the men. Can you, high function for a woman in a relationship, sis, can you let him be in the space he's in without having to continuously suppress him or put this pressure on him to be in a different form because you need him to show up differently. You need him to express in that moment. You need him to be emotional. Hold on. What if this is what he needs so he can be better for you? Can you, the Bible says that it's better for a man to sleep on the roof of the house than deal with a woman, I'm gonna go with my terms, who can't shut the up. The Bible didn't say that part, but that's how I'm looking at it. Meaning. The
Bible says quarrelsome woman.
What does that mean?
It says quarrelsome woman.
What does that mean?
And interpreted by Dr. Bryant, shut the up is what she said.
Meaning, right, this man is system overload already.
Yeah. Yep. He's frustrated. He's like, let me just get out. Let me get out of here.
In a high self-inventory and says, do I want to do these things so I can fit in with daddy? Or do I want to stay true to who I am? Either way, it's a choice. But high functioning people have the ability to take a step back internally, not physically, process what they feel, hear their emotions in the real space that they're saying, because my emotions curse people out and things all day. But I regulate it, code switch it, deliver the message so you're receptive to it and you feel it with love. But I'm saying the same damn thing I was saying in here. And now we have a relationship. Now we have respect. And now we good. And now, like your mama said, because I love that quote, tell her that, please, I love that. We can go to heaven together and we can take this journey to hell as well.
But no, are you willing to go to hell?
I just said both.
Yeah.
Both.
So, but I don't think my question was clear, or the answer wasn't clear as far as a high functioning woman.
Yeah.
And
it's simple. High functioning woman feels the same thing a low functioning woman feels. She does two things differently. High functioning woman can regulate her emotions to articulate it so it comes out with emotional intelligence.
Okay.
And she uses what she feels, and chooses with her healthy self and not her dysfunctional self.
Okay.
That's the only difference.
Now, explain to me what a high functioning man is.
A high functioning man, identical to a woman. He can feel what he feels, he regulates his emotions, and he chooses how he's going to deliver that message so that woman receives it and she's not armed and now we're at war. That's what a high functioning man does. And he's also able to sit through hard, challenging conversations without fleeing or abandoning that woman, and using his emotional intelligence that says, I hear you and I understand you, but baby, I don't agree with that one part.
There's a lot of things that I don't agree with.
I don't agree with that.
In this conversation.
Yeah.
Going back to what I said, with that 40% of men who are high functioning that you counsel, what I said was,
okay, my baby, my woman's in this low functioning space because she's honest and we are really intimate, not sex, the true intimacy, which is vulnerability and knowing each other. I know she has these abandonment issues. I ain't experienced them in 3 years, but this is the day it's here.
Yep.
Baby, listen, I went to the gas station. This is what I got and what I did. Let me pray over you. Let's have a conversation about it. What do you need in this moment for you to be good?
That part.
And in the 5 years we've been together, 3 years, the 1 year, the 2 years, you tell me one time I gave you a reason not to trust me.
There it is.
And if there's no reason, then she has to regulate her emotions to get herself to the high functioning place to say, baby, you know what? You're right. I'm tripping. Maybe I need 5 minutes. Maybe I need let me go work out. Let me run 4 miles. Whatever I need to do to regulate this, to get my cortisone levels low, my dopamine to be released. Let me do this. I'll let you know if I need something more.
Good.
Now, after the man has done everything, because there's sometimes a man can do all that and the woman is still in her space. I want to give advice for that because it happens like that a lot. After the man has done everything he's supposed to do and say he really was not cheating and not doing nothing wrong, he apologizes. He said, what do you need? Animate in flames. You haven't done anything. It could be the time of the month. Hormones are just going, crazy. And I'm now my abandonment's in flames, and I get to clenching, and I say, I don't
want this no more.
Not even this. It's more of like, okay, every day of the week, you know, you go to the gym and work out, you come home at 7:30. Now, for the last 5 years,
You've done the same thing.
you've never ever came home at 7:45. But this one time in 5 years, you come home at 7:36. That's 6 minutes later. Because you stopped at the gas station and didn't text me and say, baby, can you get gas real quick?
Yeah.
You come in, my abandonment's inflamed. I flip out. Where have you been? This is banana. This is where I say by low functioning, right? You're able to stay in your high functioning, but you understand the low functioning so that you're not judging me and you're not staying high functioning, which can be transactional at times, and saying you're tripping. I'm pulling out. This is too much for me. So now what you did was you dipped down to the low functioning with me. And now we both cannot function in this relationship. Hybrid means I need you to say high functioning and go, okay, my baby, my woman's in this low functioning space because she's honest and we are really intimate, not sex, the true intimacy, which is vulnerability and knowing each other. I know she has these abandonment issues. I ain't experienced them in 3 years, but this is the day it's here.
Yep.
Baby, listen, I went to the gas station. This is what I got and what I did. Let me pray over you. Let's have a conversation about it. What do you need in this moment for you to be good?
That part.
And in the 5 years we've been together, 3 years, the 1 year, the 2 years, you tell me one time I gave you a reason not to trust me.
There it is.
And if there's no reason, then she has to regulate her emotions to get herself to the high functioning place to say, baby, you know what? You're right. I'm tripping. Maybe I need 5 minutes. Maybe I need a whole, let me go work out. Let me run 4 miles. Whatever I need to do to regulate this, to get my cortisone levels low, my dopamine to be released. Let me do this. I'll let you know if I need something more.
Good.
Now, after the man has done everything, because there's sometimes a man can do all that and the woman is still in her space. I want to give advice for that because it happens like that a lot. After the man has done everything he's supposed to do and say he really was not cheating and not doing nothing wrong, he apologizes. He said, what do you need? He talks to her and she's still inflamed. Because I've been there. I've been where the man has done everything you can possibly humanly think of. And I done packed my bag and I'm talking about book my flight. And he
No, you didn't. No, you didn't book- you
and
didn't
at
book
this
the
point, I told him book it. Get me out of here. But Terrence, at this point, he pacing the floors. Poor baby. He's just pacing the floors. And no, he's just like, he's just, you know, you can tell he's like, Lord, how do I get her to stay? What do I do? Because he didn't do anything wrong. And I'm disclaiming.
You done told him to book the flight?
Book the flight. And I told him to pack me up. Get me out of here. But look at the intensity.
God.
Get me out of here. Do you see the inflammation?
Yeah.
Get me out of here. Book the flight. Now, mind you, I think it's 1 a.m. Extreme abandonment.
Don't
I'm in
make
my
no
low
sense.
function.
Yeah.
Then I took a seat back and he came over. He said, what do I do when you get like this? What do I do?
He said, what do I do?
How do what I do? And something in me, which is the high functioning part of me, this is, thank God that I'm a hybrid, said, you're tripping. He didn't do anything. And I said, you know what? It's not you. You've done everything you're supposed to do. You did everything right. Thank you. I said, now it's up to me to make a decision. If I am going to pull out of this and go into a healthy space with you and you know, be forgiving and lock back in, or if I'm going to continue to be in my abandonment, sabotage this and get the heck out of here.
You can do that in real time. You did that in real time.
I did that sitting on that couch with that man sitting next to me. And he said, okay, what does that mean? I said, give me some time to snap out of this. Because,
you knew that.
Because it's just a decision. But my emotions are so inflamed that it is blurring my decision making.
Yeah.
So I sat, I prayed, and I said my affirmation, God, louder,
Yeah.
louder, louder. And then I started to, this is what I do by self-talk. I started to, my high functioning healed self, started to talk to my low functioning broken self.
Teach.
And the high functioning self said, let me explain something to you. You always sabotaging. You always at the table. And in relationships, you have no place being at. You did this in the last relationship. We're not doing this time. So whatever you need to do, wherever you need to go, you need to figure it out. I looked over at that man. I said, baby, we good. And he looked at me though, kind of crazy. Like what you just said, like, did she just do that in real time? But he had this look like, what the hell just happened? like, you know, are you bipolar? No, it was, I was processing. I was literally using my own tools on myself. And I'm telling
Were you saying the stuff verbally?
No, inside my mind. But in my mind, it was this conversation that it was like
louder.
No, it was this, and I'm on the couch and it's just doing this thing and I'm feeling it. And all of a sudden, you know, my high functioning self, thank God, was able to overpower my low functioning self, and the low functioning self regulate and dissipate it. And I just had to explain to him, this is what happens. And hopefully I can always do that. If not, just please don't let me leave. And he was still trying to figure out, well, what does that look like? Because this was a man who was very, a real alpha, in the sense of a real alpha is not a hostile man. A real alpha is not, no, that's called testosterone, okay? A real alpha man is strong, vertical, loving, gentle, but he also has his own boundaries.
Yeah.
That says, baby, hold on now. What does that look like? Because I don't want to be putting hands on you to not get you to leave, because I love you and my love is healthy.
Yeah.
And it's gentle. So we had to explain that, but I say that to say that is what the hybrid looks like. So I'm not perfect. And you know, with me dating now and my husband, he is also has to be built a certain way that understands it, if he doesn't understand it, he wants to know, how do I do that with you? Because I am going to be with you forever. And so because I'm going to be with you forever, I got to learn too how to regulate you. This is a team spirit thing.
Yes.
This isn't no, well, they shall probably figure it out.
Yep.
Hold on, wait a minute.
Or you should have had that fixed before you came to me.
Because that's never going to happen.
Exactly.
Nothing's ever going to be completely fixed before anything happens. It just doesn't work like that.
Yep.
And I tell people, you got to go broken. You got to go scared. You got to go unfixed. You got to go hurt. You got to go halfway healed. The point is, you just have to make sure that you go. And when you arrive, then be ready to assume whatever role or position you need to, and trust yourself in God in the process to say, when I get there, I'll have the tools. I just told you, God meets you where you are.
Teach.
So when you get there, he'll be there. He says, inhale.
Hey guys, welcome to Little Black Book 91. Let me tell you something. Today's video, it's gonna be interesting. Okay, I watched this video and I watched it twice, and I said something isn't quite right. Let me say it again. I watched the video twice and I said something isn't quite right. Those of you who are acquainted with dark arts, you know who you are. You know something wasn't quite right. Okay, something isn't quite right with what she's saying. Okay, and what she's talking about, right? I actually do hear what she's saying, but what she's actually describing didn't really make sense. Okay, and let me tell you why it didn't make sense. It didn't make sense because the reason why I played those clips, I wanted you to see all the way through, is because she says high functioning, low functioning, which I totally understood. Low functioning is your trauma responses to things. Your high functioning is you in your healed state. But she said she needs a hybrid. And I said, why would you need a hybrid? If the person's high functioning, as she described herself, which I'm going to play the clip for you in a second or two, once more, they already have the emotional intelligence to deal with your low functioning self. So why would they need to be a hybrid? Like, I don't need to go everywhere you've gone before to fully understand where you're coming from. Do you get what I'm saying to you? So if you've got a trauma response to something, right? The fact that I am stable, I'm secure, I'm loving, I'm emotionally intelligent. Why do I need to be a hybrid of both the low and the high? Then I said no, because old sis has not healed. So this analogy is not working very well. Because there's no need to be a hybrid. There's only a need to be high functioning. And I said, do you know why? That she makes you, do you know why she said she needs a hybrid? Because as she explained it herself, the high functioning person will leave her. Why? Because he will not stand for low standards. Ooh. Listen again. The reason why the high functioning person will not want to be around her, she said it by her own words, she said it, you know. This was her own words. Her own words was, if he's high function, he will leave her. Right? So if the high functioning person is going to leave you, it means you're not elevating and you are still functioning on a low function. Why would you not want someone who's high function? Why would you need them to be a hybrid? Why? So what you're basically saying is, I need a edge, I need a business thug. I need a magnificent person. You know what I mean? I need him to love Jesus, but I need him to be a thug. And you know what I mean? I need him to be a bad boy, but I need him to love Jesus. Like, that's what you're really kind of saying. And in reality, I'm not against it, but what it does also show is that there's some functionalities that you are not telling us the truth about, your own behaviors. But in this interview with the future wifey, she exposed her actual behaviors. And I'm not against her. I want you to make it very, very clear. We are not condemning her. I've got no hell and no heaven to put her in. It is not my job to do so. This is not about her faith and about Jesus. This is simply about what she said and me analyzing it carefully. I think Cam Newton saw something. I'm not saying Cam Newton's innocent, by the way. The reason why Cam Newton saw her is because he is just like her. He saw the dysfunction, right? The dysfunction that she had, but it's the way he attacked it. He felt attacked and went after her. He's not right for doing it. But the reality was he saw something. And the problem was, because he went after her, we couldn't see her dysfunction. We only saw his. But when you put her with dear future wifey, her dysfunction is going to come out. Right? See, and I've done a set of videos on my other channel, Dark Arts Podcast, which will release on Friday and Saturday. And I said this, as a man, you cannot afford to have your rules, your culture, and your standards lowered for that woman. You can't afford it. Because when she heals, she don't even want you anyway. So I'm not going to lower myself to make it nice for you. We don't lower the basket so that you can reach and dunk. No, the basket is at the height it is. Either you grow or you get to jumping to try and get that hoop. But we ain't about to lower it for you. Because the moment we do, it doesn't improve the state of play. No, it doesn't improve the state of play. Not at all. Right? The level is a level for a reason. So let's listen a bit more. But listen, don't forget, don't change the channel because I'm turning the heat up. I know the ladies were backing Dr. Bryant. Listen, I backed her against Cam Newton because what she said was true. And she held him accountable, and he deserved to be held accountable. When I listened to the interview with Cam Newton, I knew something wasn't right. I just needed more information. When I heard the Cam Newton one, I said, I knew something wasn't right, but I needed more information. Okay? All right? So the fact that she says that by being high function, she's that hybrid, it tells me that it's something not quite right. In fact, I want to see if I can find a clip. I don't know why I didn't write down the clip was about the hybrid as well. I think I got it back. So we'll go back there as well for you guys. So you can actually hear it in its totality. Okay? All right? So I think it was run about here. So let me just listen again. All right?
Function, those that haven't, because I started laughing at it because we had a conversation and we was talking about I need a man that is high functioning, but he has to have duality.
He's a hybrid.
He's a hybrid. He needs to be able to deal with the low functioning that you have a tendency to operate in. Explain what that means.
Meaning, he's high functioning enough to be able to make sure our relationship functions at a healthy level without impairment. We're not abusing each other. We can have conversations. We have emotional intelligence. We can talk, agree to disagree. We can trust each other. We're rooted in those high functioning things. Everything is not about investigation of what's going on. No, we're mature. He can feel what he feels and regulate his emotions so that we're not having chaos all the time.
Yeah.
He can disagree with me and still go to bed and love me in the morning, maybe revisit it or let it go and let it take his form because he has that strong faith in God that it's going to do what it's supposed to do anyways.
Teach.
So go on and just keep loving her. Those are high functioning. He knows how to have real commitment is high functioning, which is he knows how to stay and stick and be while the love comes in and the love comes out, because that's a real relationship. The love looks different every season, every year, depending on what you're doing, what he's doing, what you're going through. Love just looks different. It feels different. And commitment is doing what you said you was going to do regardless of how you feel. Can he stick in it and not go outside of these doors, right? While we get this thing back on track.
Good.
And for women, because sidebar real quick, women too, I don't want to just get on the men. Can you, high function for a woman in a relationship, sis, can you let him be in the space he's in without having to continuously suppress him or put this pressure on him to be in a different form because you need him to show up differently. You need him to express in that moment. You need him to be emotional. Hold on. What if this is what he needs so he can be better for you? Can you, the Bible says that it's better for a man to sleep on the roof of the house than deal with a woman, I'm gonna go with my terms, who can't shut the up. The Bible didn't say that part, but that's how I'm looking at it. Meaning.
The Bible says quarrelsome woman.
What does that mean?
It says quarrelsome woman.
What does that mean?
And interpreted by Dr. Bryant, shut the up is what she said.
Meaning, right, this man is system overload already.
Yeah. Yep. And he's frustrated. He's like, let me get out of here.
And a high functioning woman can say, all right, baby, listen, what do you need right now?
Yeah.
Because the Bible says, love your partner by knowledge of them. Let me know what you need. Because in a marriage, you have to assume different roles and positions. And can you be hybrid enough and flexible enough to assume that while you, this is high functioning now, self-soothe, whether it's self-soothe your emotions, self-soothe, meaning regulate your anxiety, whether it's go read a book, go for a run, go to brunch, have a glass of wine, have a cup of tea, while he has his moment with himself. And his moment with himself is his moment with God.
There it is.
That's all it is. And let him return.
Now, as you heard her explain, if you don't know what you heard, let me explain what you heard. She explained what a high-functioning man and a woman is. When she explained what the high-functioning man and woman is, she explained that person, that man or that woman, is able to have conversation, they're able to discuss, they're able to talk through difficult situations, they're able to sit through difficult emotions, they're able to express themselves, they're able to tell you a whole bunch of things, right? And they're able to communicate that to you. Fantastic. So why would they need to be low functioning? If the low functioning self of you is your traumatic response to something, why do they need to be a hybrid? Since the high functioning should have all the capabilities to be able to understand. She said the high function allows you to let love in and give it as well. It allows you to adapt to different seasons. It allows you to sit and have difficult conversations. It allows you to ask, what do you need from me right now? So why would I need to be a hybrid? Something isn't quite right. Here's why I believe we need a hybrid. Because she still has too many low functioning abilities and too many low functioning behaviors that she lowers the bar enough so that you can love her. So if you're too high functioning, you're going to cause her you're going to cause her to have to look at herself internally, and she's not ready to do that work right now. Now, I'm not saying she's not doing the work. I'm saying that maybe she's not ready at that point yet. Because what you're really saying is, come to my level, elevate up, come upwards. In fact, Jesus said to the disciples, come up. Now, one thing I know about even being a Christian is that there are levels in the faith, right? And the higher you get in the faith, the more things you have to sacrifice, the less places you can go, the less that you can do, the less that you can say. There's always the less. And do you know why many people don't want to go deeper with God? Because they're going to have to release certain things about themselves. And I'm not even judging you, because I can't lie to you. Sometimes it is difficult. So in order to come higher, I need to sacrifice something to be lighter to get to that level. It's the same thing with relationships. So the high functioning person is going to call you to a higher level. But why does he need to be hybrid? Since he already has emotional intelligence, since he can already reason and tell you and ask you, what do you need from me in this moment? Why would he leave you? Well, because he realizes he's not getting what he needs from you, and you're unwilling to give it because you're unwilling to rise up to the level that that person needs. So we're going to accept low functioning behavior and make him a hybrid. Setting it right, man. Setting it right. So let's go back to her definitions, right? That she's a Cam Newton. Let's go.
Was clear, or the answer wasn't clear, as far as a high functioning woman.
Yeah.
And
It's simple. High functioning woman feels the same thing a low functioning woman feels. She does two things differently. High functioning woman can regulate her emotions to articulate it so it comes out with emotional intelligence. And she uses what she feels, and chooses with her healthy self and not her dysfunctional self. That's the only difference.
Now, explain to me what a high functioning man is.
A high functioning man, identical to a woman. He can feel what he feels, he regulates his emotions, and he chooses how he's going to deliver that message so that woman receives it, and she's not armed, and now we're at war. That's what a high functioning man does. And he's also able to sit through hard, challenging conversations without fleeing or abandoning that woman, and using his emotional intelligence that says, I hear you and I understand you, but baby, I don't agree with that one part.
There's a lot of things that I don't agree with.
I don't agree with.
So why would he need to be a hybrid? No, he's already, hold on. He's already emotionally intelligent. He's able to reason and regulate his emotions. So he's responding, not reacting. He's able to sit in difficult conversations with you and not flee from you. So why would he need to be a hybrid? Because you still want him to be able to take some of the nonsense that doesn't need to be nonsense anymore. That is not, when I say nonsense, what I mean by this is there are certain behaviors of us that really need to change in order for a relationship to actually work. There are behaviors that are unbefitting and unbehooving of an actual relationship that's actually healthy. Now, being a high functioning person doesn't make you perfect. So there's no need to be a hybrid. It does not make you perfect. When I heard it, I said, this doesn't even make sense. This doesn't make sense. There's no such thing as being perfect, Didi. There's no such person who is perfect except Jesus. There is no man and no woman who is perfect. The high functioning person will have their own hang-ups that they have to deal with. They're not going to always regulate. They're not always going to get it right. They're not always going to be perfect. So the high functioning person shouldn't be someone you fear. In fact, you should raise your level to them. See, men do this to women a lot of times, right? They meet a good woman and they know they're not ready for the woman. What do? They either delay that woman or they leave that woman alone and say, listen, it's not for now. Because I know I'm not ready for that kind of chick right now. I'm going to leave you to it. Right? So either they hold you there in position because they want to, when they're ready, when they're better, right? They hold you there, or they say, I'm not ready for it right now. Why? Because men understand that you must raise your level. You want me to lower my level so you can be the dysfunctional person that you actually are. No. Whenever a man allows a woman to sit in her dysfunction and stay as she is, he will reap the benefits of that dysfunction. There's no need for hybrid. And so for me, hybrid is coded language for you want to sit in your dysfunction. Now, I'm not saying that we don't have dysfunction. We all have some. But I don't need you to be a hybrid to be able to accept that. As a high functioning person, okay, all right, as a high functioning person, that person would be able to understand because they have emotional intelligence. They're able to sit with you in difficult conversations. What more would they need to do? Why would they need to become a hybrid? That is not, so that's why I said the language is confused, but I said it's not confused because sometimes out of the heart, out of the mouth, the heart speaks. Sometimes where we are We're willing to make concessions, right? We're willing to make concessions. So we might protect ourselves with certain lingo, certain language. We might code some of our belief systems into the way we structure certain things. So we're saying, I need a hybrid. The high functioning man is already good enough as it is. And the high functioning woman is as good as it actually is. None of them are perfect. But what they are going to expect is for you to raise your level. You're not ready to raise your level. That's the truth. You're not ready to raise your level. That part hasn't changed yet. See, the high functioning person, as she just said, would still be able to have conversations about her, even if they're not going to flee, they're not going to run away when you're acting out of pocket. And remember, you're only acting out of pocket sometimes. It's not always. It's not a consistent thing. It's that you're going to have your moments. So why would he need to be hybrid? If you're only going to have certain moments, right? If you're only going to have certain moments, actually give an example about 3 years into a relationship, he comes home 6 minutes later than he usually does. She gets into a pocket, she gets into a mad tizzy. And I was like, okay, but that's a moment. That's not, you said 3 years into a relationship, so why would he need to be a hybrid? It's jargon and it's lingo that really, honestly, kind of, I can't lie to you. It sounded a little bit word salad-y for me. I can't lie to you. It did sound a little bit like word salad. Can't even play with you. Can't even play with you on that one. And I wanna go deeper because I want to be able to analyze something that she brought to the table. This is her in her 20s though. So I want to be fair. It's in her 20s. I want to be fair. It's in her 20s. But I really want you to listen to the story that she broke down because I think it highlights why I said that this whole jargon about hybrid, it really, to me, sounds a bit like nonsense. Right? And really, it sounds like we're trying to use it as an escape. All right, from, as I love what El said, raising the level that you are going to have to be held to. Men do this to women, and there are a lot of women too who recognize a man and they like, he's two levels. I can't get there. And we're talking about emotionally here. All right. So again, if you're new to the channel, make sure you like, share, subscribe. I know we're halfway through this section. Listen, we always like to go deep around here. We like to analyze and break things down and make sure we give you guys some great content. If you want to be a part of the chat, it's a members only chat today. So listen, if you want to converse, it's $1, it's £1. It's not going to kill you. It won't break you. I made it cheap so you can join. I'm not here to rob you of your money, but we have a membership program here. If you want to join it, it's £1, $1. You can end up chatting in this live as well and saying your opinion. Okay. Let's listen to the story. Okay. Listen to the story in Balamori. Wouldn't you like to know? I want you to listen to the story and you're going to hear this story. Fantastimo. It's going to be interesting. Okay? You're going to be interested.
To go broken, you got to go scared, you got to go unfixed, you got to go hurt, you got to go halfway healed. The point is, you just have to make sure that you go. And when you arrive, then be ready to assume whatever role or position you need to and trust yourself and God in the process to say, when I get there, I'll have the tools. I just told you God meets you where you are.
Teach.
So when you get there, he'll be there. He says, in hell. There you, let me tell you something. That's why he's God. And his thoughts ain't our thoughts. Because, baby, I don't want to go to hell with you.
Yeah.
But if I have to, meaning you're my husband, this is why another reason why I've taken my time to get married. Because people can say they respect marriage and the sanctity of it, but they're showing up to that's emotionally, physically, mentally, whatever you need. And being those, and coupled with, I didn't ask. I just happened to meet a guy in my 20s, his 20s, early 20s, that was amazing and who knew healthy love. And I didn't. And so he was a beautiful buffer for me. And that's not my words. He would say he's a buffer. I thought we were just going to get married and be together.
Okay, before she gets deep in the story, I want to just set the tone for you. This is someone who's in her 20s. So it's not now, it's in her 20s. I want to be fair to her. It's in her 20s, okay? But I want you to understand what's happening here, okay? I want you to understand what's happening here. In that moment, what she's telling us right now is that in her 20s, she met a guy who just knew how to love her, okay? By the way, the guy that also loved her is dysfunctional too. So nobody's free, okay? All right? But I want you to listen to what actually happens, okay? I'm going to tell you this now. As a man, you need to have boundaries. If you allow a woman to come into your space without no boundaries, you don't check her on certain things, I'm telling you, bro, you are going to reap the rewards and the harvest of her madness. Her in her dysfunctional state, if you don't check it and let her know this is not acceptable behavior and say to her, listen, the bar needs to be raised, and you don't do that, stay there, stay low, and you're going to reap the harvest you're going to get. Okay? All right? Whenever you hear a man or a woman tell you, oh, they're just so patient, it's a lie. Only God is that patient. You're dysfunctional and toxic, my guy. You understand what I'm saying to you? Yeah? I'm one of them too, so I know.
Together. But he was the facilitator. He was the high functioning when it came to how to facilitate me. He was a sturdy oak. Put it this way, I have yet to be or feel a safe space with a man since that relationship, and that was in my 20s.
Really?
He created such a safe space for me, and let me tie in why that's important. People show up fully where they're safe, and God knew in order to get this woman her pain and her trauma, in order to get me to externalize what she's been internalizing, she got to be completely safe. And so he put me with a man who could create a completely safe space. What that did was, unfortunately,
Accountability, can we take it, please? Accountability, can we take it, please? God did not put you with a man. Let's not do that. You know what I mean? I'm not shooting her, but I don't like when people do that, right? For instance, it's like me and see, if a man said this, we would look at him like he's crazy. Okay? Like he's crazy. If a man was to tell you, listen, go put me with a woman so that she could love me in my brokenness, and then I could leave her up. What? You know what I'm saying to you? What are you talking about, my guy? We would never accept that, because it's not acceptable. It actually isn't acceptable. I am not here to heal you and your father and mother wounds either. Same way you're not here to do that for me. I need to be putting that work in myself. So the fact that God sent that, no, God didn't send that person to you. Now, God may have allowed for that person to be in your life. Okay? God may have permitted, meaning he didn't send it, but he allowed it to happen. There's a difference with God saying, I allowed it to happen, to him sending it to you. You know what I'm saying to you? For you to mistreat him. So God sent somebody to you so you can mistreat him. Hey, come on, my friend. Come on. 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 Stop that nonsense right there. Stop that nonsense right there. Huh? Okay? Stop that nonsense.
for him, but fortunately for me, or maybe fortunately for him, I was fully authentic. I was fully myself. He got all of the loving, nurturing, affectionate, like pouring into him, treating him like a king, but he also got the intense trauma, abandon, neglect, toxicity. I'm a young girl. I don't even know that I have this trauma. I don't even know that I'm just this dysfunctional. And when I say the duality, all of it was there.
He said something profound to you, right? Mm-hmm. What did he say that was so profound to you about what you desire?
Yeah, we talked about that last night, and he was right. He said, and this was like, we were literally planning our engagement party. He said, baby, I'm just a buffer for you. And now, mind you, in my mind, I'm like, we getting married. So, and it would hurt me when he would say now, because I thought he would leave, because I was hurt for him saying that. He said, I'm a buffer for you. He said, you're too insecure for the man that you really want right now. And that was in my 20s. I was like 22, 23 when he said this to me. And I'm like, what? He goes, hear me when I say this. He said, I'm a buffer. At some point, you will become secure enough to be with that guy. But right now, you're with me.
Yeah, that's not a godsend. He's dysfunctional, that male. And I talked about this on my other channel. That man is not a godsend. He's dysfunctional. See, we like to put Christianese on things. God sent this person to me and salvaged me. No. He's dysfunctional. See, the fact that he knew he was a buffer, and knew that you were so insecure, the reason why he wanted you is because he was getting his ego fed by you being there. Please don't ever play with me. Come on. Let's not put that on God. Okay? Yeah. I'm not, by the way, I'm not shooting Dr. Bryant. I'm only just kind of highlighting certain things that there's dysfunction in the way she's talking. It's dysfunctional. like one dysfunctional person to another dysfunctional person, I can see it. Do you know what I mean? We're all healing at this point in time. You know what I'm saying to you? But let's be honest and be accountable for about what things we actually are accountable for. Okay? Because just like when I did it on Dear Future Wife, and when I came on there, I didn't blame anybody else. I didn't put it on anybody else. I told you I have a kill switch. I said it's on me to deal with. I said, listen, the way I treat my previous girlfriends, it's on me. It wasn't a godsend. God didn't send that person. God told me not to go into that relationship. God told me to leave that woman alone. God told me, listen, don't entertain that woman. But I decided I'm going to do it anyway. That's the difference between being accountable and us trying to make it smooth and pretty and putting little sprinkles on a story to make it sound so beautiful, when really and truly, no, you are a dysfunctional individual. I'm one of them. I'm growing. I'm healing. I'm getting better, but I have dysfunctionalities. But I'm not going to pretend and try to make it sweet and sprinkle little things on it. God didn't send that person to you. You encountered a person by the grace of God, but it's not him sending it to you. Right? Life has a funny way of doing certain things. And so that person coming into your life, God allowed for that person to come in, which means, and so because you wasn't ready for him. And he knew that because he's dysfunctional himself. Because if he wasn't dysfunctional, he would have left you already.
Because you are too insecure at this moment to be with who you really want to be. And when I tell you,
when I say that is emotional intelligence on a high level,
and when
shout
I tell
out to
you,
that brother.
That man was on point to the point. And I didn't argue with him. I just was more like, babe, don't say that. We got an engagement party. We're getting married. And I also knew in my heart that he was right and that I would be leaving like deep, not like forefront. And so a part of me, all of me was trying to save him from a heart.
Now let's pause it right there. The brother said, listen, I'm a buffer to you. You're too insecure to be the person you actually want to be with. And she said he was right. Okay? All right? And so in this aspect, there was some high function aspects to him, but he would be the hybrid you're talking about. He's a hybrid. He's the hybrid. But guess what? You don't want a hybrid because you know why? His boundaries are shambolic. That is the whole truth. See, when you get to that hybrid, you don't want to be a hybrid in a sense. Be high functioning and stay high functioning. Because you need to hold good boundaries because it's not safe for her to operate in a space where you allow unconditional things to happen. You are not God. I'm not going to give you unconditional love. I'm just so sorry. I don't know. Maybe I need to change my mind. Maybe I'm dysfunctional. I don't know if humans can give unconditional love. Because if we're really talking about unconditional love here, you can cheat on me and do whatever you want to do. See, what we do with God is different. God, you listen, you can go and worship another God. So long as you have his spirit, come back and God will be like, listen, I've forgiven you. I will not forgive you. Go and cheat and see what happens. Come back. I will not be here. See, so I'm not going to lie to you and be like, I'm unconditional in my love. I'm not unconditional. I am very much conditional. The condition is that you respect me and you love me. But if you do things that are contrary to that particular behavior, I'm sorry, I can't forgive you 77 times 7 and you behave anyhow in a marriage. I just can't do it. That's for God to do. I can't do it. You know what I'm saying to you? That you can do whatever you want. Right? So when you accept people's dysfunction and say you can just sit in your dysfunction, you'll eventually get it. No. I'm going to call you up to a higher bar. And if you can't come up there, then you're going to release yourself. That's up to you. Right? Ask any man out there if a woman has lowered her standards, if that man has decided to raise a standard bigger than what she has asked for. Never would he do it. It's like going into a shop and the shopkeeper tells you it's only $5 or £5. Who's going to pay 20? Who's going to pay 100? Who's paying 120? You told me it's $5. Who's paying more? Nobody is. So when you lower your standards, you're not helping the situation. You must raise them. My God. Hey. Okay? Don't lower your standards. Because I want to be so accommodating and, I want to be loving to you. You're not loving. You're nice, but you're not loving, right? Even love has its boundaries. And so you're not operating in that space of boundaries. So yeah, she can show up as her true, authentic self, but her true, authentic self was also disrespectful to you. You're going to hear it. You're going to hear it.
Heartbreak I knew he was going to have.
Inevitable. An inevitable heartbreak.
I was trying to save him and say, no, and no, and like, but I'm here and I do love you. And that's not true. And then also because he was such a freaking good man, it was hard to leave because I didn't have infidelity.
And you didn't have a reason to leave. So what happens with people like that suffer from abandonment issues, you try to look for a reason. And then it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy because you'll create the reason to leave, but you come with such toxicity that you'll start breaking the very man that you love so much to where he be like, and then you start making him respond.
Hold on. There you go. When I start breaking the man that I loved, who I seen come in as a healthy, loving, innocent man that just wanted to love me. Because he came from, I came from a 2-parent household, but it was my grandparents. He came from 2-parent, his parents, and, no blended family. It's them. They've been together all their life. So he comes from that. But when I start to see that, and he just kept loving me through it. And he kept reminding me, reassuring me, that's cool, but I ain't going nowhere. You know what he told me one time?
I need you to listen to this very, very well. This part here, listen very well. If you're a man especially, listen very well. If you don't, open your ears very, very well at this point, at this conjunction, shine your eye very well. Listen very carefully. It's why I don't play with women no more. You see, that's where Red Pill gets some of it right, but they don't know how I've got this term called the lion and the lamb. In a relationship as a man, you must be the lion and the lamb. You must know when to lay down your life, when to be sacrificial, when to be forgiving, but you must also know at certain points when to be the lion, not a beast, but a lion. A lion is calculated. They are careful, and they measure the way that they approach a situation. High function, as she said. And so when you are that lion, not only are you able to create a boundary, you're also able to enforce it and say to the person, there are consequences to what you're doing. Does it sound like this man was giving her consequences? Does it sound like this man was giving her consequences? Does it sound like this man was giving her consequences? Doesn't sound like he was giving her consequences. Consequences are not punishments. I'm not here to punish you. Like, oh, you do this, I'm gonna now silent treatment you, or I'm gonna also disrespect you as well. No. But when you start disrespecting me, what am I gonna do? Well, I'm gonna pull away. All right, and you do that enough times, I'm gonna leave the relationship.
Just even thinking about it. And he said this to me. He said, because I was trying to be mean, and I was being mean. And I was saying to him, and I was in my abandonment. I was trying to sabotage. I was trying to get him to leave. So I can prove this abandonment thing, right? And I didn't know I was doing this, y'all. I'm in my 20s, right?
Yeah.
Hindsight, I get it. and I'm telling him, well, leave. I don't want to be with you. And he's like, no, I ain't going nowhere. No. And I'm telling he's sturdy in it. No. And I'm like, how can I get him to leave? But listen, everything in me wanted to make sure he stayed. I didn't want him to leave. I wanted him to reassure me he wouldn't go. And so I get to packing his stuff, and I tell him, you know what? Well, I'm going on a date. I'm going to go on a date with someone else. You know what he told me? This is when I knew it was God. Lord have mercy. He said, not baby. He said my full name. Cheyenne, let me explain something to you. Now, people are going to go crazy over this, but let's get in our mature, high-functioning.
Now, of course, what she's saying, I'm going to actually do another video on this, right? This is again, fearful avoidance tend to do this. No, shout out to fearful avoidance. I'm not trying to shoot you. Fearful avoidance tend to do this. They tend to test people. Remember I did a video about this with the Ghanaian Wadi Maya? It's the same thing. She's testing him and she's pushing the boundary. And when they do, you got to let them know, stop doing that. Stop doing that. Because what you're doing is manipulative. So stop doing that. Listen, we can do kumbaya, but I'm going to tell you, stop doing that. It's disrespectful. Stop doing that. There are times and seasons where, yes, you're going to be a lamb and you're going to be like, you know what? I hear it. I see it. I'm understanding of you. But what she was doing there was pushing his boundaries. Yeah, of course, she was trying to see, will he keep on loving me? But he has to let her know, whilst I love you, I don't have to accept the behavior you're giving me. Whilst I understand you, I don't have to accept this behavior. So yeah, let's lock that off. Because you're not going to keep testing me. Right? Because the test doesn't ever end. When someone is testing you, the test never ends. Very much giving fear for the avoiding. We'll do a video on that.
Emotional intelligence space. Before I say this, y'all, he said, Cheyenne, if you went out, he said, forget a date. If you went out and had sex with 200 something men, I'm still not leaving. I'm still not going nowhere.
Yeah.
And as much as other people and men who aren't mature enough to understand the context of this.
Yeah, it's what he's saying.
It's not what he said. It's what's in the substance of. And when he said that, that was a moment where
Now listen. I'm mature enough to know what he meant, okay? All right? It's still bollocks. I'm sorry. Excuse my French. It's actually English, but excuse that language, but it's absolute bollocks. Okay? I'm so sorry, because what do you mean if you slept with 200 people, I'm not going to love you at 200 people. No, not even the ones. No. I know what he was trying to imply, but the reality of the situation, it also shows off your mindset. Right? I will love you through thick and thin. Yes. For richer, for poorer. Yes. And good and the bad. Yes. But I'm not going to love you through the cheating and the nonsense you're about to put me through and the abuse. Nope. I'm not about to love you. I don't have to accept that kind of behavior. Yes, there are going to be disagreements. Yes, we're not going to see eye to eye. Yes, we're going to have different points of view. Yeah, you're going to want to do your own thing. I want to do my own thing. Yeah, we're going to have those moments. But see, it sounds mad poetic, but it always tells me where your mind is at. When a man says things that are so poetic like that, it tells me You're not serious. You're not serious. You're not serious. You don't see women the right way. You don't see women the right way. And I'm not saying that women are bad. What I'm saying to you is you still see them as these angels, and that's what's going to get you killed. You're putting them on a pedestal. That's where you're going to have the danger. She cannot be put on a pedestal. Neither can you. Nobody can be an idol to anybody. No one can be a god to anybody. I cannot pedestalize you and put you on a level. Right? So it's important that he had checked her at a point. He didn't do that at the time. Now, of course, again, I'm also, like Renee said, I'm definitely happy to say she was 20 when these were happening. I'm not saying that, but it tells me something. It goes back to that hybrid, high function, low functioning. Because it's that low functioning behavior that she wants a safe space for, which I'm cool. There are some aspects of it. But the reality of the situation is that man was not being a good man. He was being a nice man. See, a good man also knows his boundaries and knows his limits. And he'll firmly let you know, I'm reaching my limit. And you push me there to that limit. That's why she said the high functioning person will end up leaving you. No, the high functioning person realizes you're full of nonsense at that point, and you are not actually going to respect me.
I used a curse word, but I said, what the am I doing? Like, yo, what am I doing right now?
That's good.
Like, what? And when I tell you that was a mirror times a mirror, and I sat down and I just started crying. And I said, I'm not really a crier. And I was boohooing. And he's just looking at me. And he probably looking at me like, this so crazy woman. But, he's looking at me and I said, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I'll never, ever abuse you again. Meaning not, but anyway, like emotionally, I'm so sorry. Like, oh my God. And he just looked at me. And from that moment, I shifted and I stopped emasculating him. It was just, I couldn't, like, I seen myself and I was so disgusted and turned off by what I was seeing just through his ability to say, listen, and then we talked about this last night. I'm not marrying or in love with the idea of you. I'm in love with you. And so because I'm in love with you, there ain't no conditions. Because if I'm in love with the idea of you, I can take this idea. We talked about this.
Take it off.
The jacket, the idea is a jacket. The jacket, go to another woman and say, baby, I like women who wear pink jackets. Put this idea on you.
Yep.
But because he really wasn't, and this is the power of love is not enough to sustain.
No. And this is where we also have to be very careful as well. Okay. All right. It's also have to be very, very careful as well. You don't, and I love that Elle said as well. He became a teacher, not her man. This is where you also that he needs to learn a lesson too. There is a limit to there's a limit to my grace. I am not God. Where God, Bible says sin abounds, so does grace. I am not God. So I'm not going to play him. I'm only a man. I have limits. And so when you are emasculating me, by the way, and you're calling me a good man, he's a good man that allows you to emasculate him. What good man do you know allows himself to be emasculated? He's not a good man at that point. He's a nice guy. Right? I'm sorry to say it. And I know it's painful to say, but I've been there myself. So I know what it looks like. I know exactly what it is. You think you're a good guy because, I just, I never do anything wrong to women. And I just want them to be able to be their best self. Are you your best self? Because clearly you're not. You are not your best self, my guy. And you're not going to be able to love that woman appropriately because you're not even able to put appropriate boundaries. And she doesn't respect you because you don't put the boundaries there. Letting her know how far she can go. You've gone too far. Right? Absolutely, Elle said. It was a project. It actually was a project. It's that simple. That's why he was able to say, I know I'm a buffer. That's why he was a Bob the Builder. So he's not a good guy, right? When you're a Bob the Builder, I said this about the women as well. I said, whenever you Bob the Builder, you're not a good woman or a good guy. You're none of those things. You are nice. You are manipulative in some aspects. You want that person to love you as you build them up, and as Frankenstein was built as a monster to love the creator. But you built a monster. I'm not building you up for them. I'm not building you up for them. Either come to my level or get going. I'm not building you up for someone else. Level up. Level up.
A relationship or a marriage, but the power of love changes like this. And when he did that, I was going, like, what? And so I shifted. But what happened was when I started to shift, this is what happens when you heal, y'all. As I shifted and became different and became more secure and became this, it changed the dynamic of our relationship. Because as the buffer he was sent to be, he had no more, his role was no longer relevant. And so guess what I was doing? Becoming different and healthy. And he didn't know how to facilitate that healthiness. As weird as that sounds.
No, it doesn't sound weird, sis. But what is interesting is this. If he was such a good man, how come he could not resonate with your now suddenly you become this good person, this good woman? How come he couldn't resonate with it? How come the good guy that you talk about right now, okay, that you emasculated and emotionally abused, how come it got to the end and actually, when you actually deeped it, when you became healed, he could no longer function with your healed self? So how good was he? He was not good at all. That's the whole point. How come all of a sudden, right, he could accommodate your dysfunction but can't accommodate your healed phase? Why can't he? Why can't he now be able to vibrate at the frequency that you're now vibrating at? You're now healed. Why can't he vibrate at that level? Because he's a Captain Save-em-all. And Captain Save-em-alls are not good men. I'm so sorry. I know you're probably listening to this as a man, going, women do this most. If women do it all the time, fix up. It's on you to choose better and do better. You need to heal in your boundaries. You need to heal in your needs and your wants. You need to heal in the area of prioritizing yourself over everybody else. It's okay to be first. In fact, you must be. The Bible says that love your neighbor as you love yourself. I cannot love you if I don't love me.
And I knew the best thing I can do, which would be a service to him and I, especially more to him, was to leave.
Really?
And let him be with somebody who I knew could just really be as good as he was. Seriously. And don't get me wrong, I was very good to him. We just had those moments where he...
And you're in your 20s.
And he didn't have to, we're in my 20s, and he didn't have to learn. He just knew how to facilitate me. And so, that's the type of...
No. He didn't know how to facilitate you. He knew how to facilitate your nonsense and your dysfunction. That's completely different. He's not facilitating you at that point. He is lowering the bar for your nonsense and shenanigans to continue going on. See, but the reality of the situation is, right? She knew that she does not want to be there anymore. Woo. See, this happens to both men and women. I just said at the very beginning of the video that women and men do this. But let's talk from the women's side, because today it's about Dr. Bryant. She knows she can elevate, and he knew she could elevate, but he didn't know how to elevate further because he was not functioning as a good guy. He was functioning as a nice guy who was low functioning, accepting her low functioning behavior. At El City, and that's it. He was older. 14 years older, if I remember correctly. I think he might have been older. Actually, I'm not sure. It might be a different story. I'll play the clip. I think he was older though, but I'll play the clip. It might be a different, because I know she talks about her other engagement, so it might not be the story. Let me take it back. I take it back. I rescind that. It may not be that guy, because she talks about a few different guys later on. So I rescind that point. But you know what I mean? I rescind that point. I'm not 100% sure, so I take it back. I rescind that point. Okay.
That's what marriage is, though. If I would have married him, which I don't want to be with him now, but he's an amazing guy. If I would have married him, that is the safe landing that I believe all women deserve. That part of him is what I want. That part of him is what I want my husband to have, is that I'm not leaving. All right, well, I guess we're going to figure this out. All right, well, so you still hungry? Okay, so, I'm getting in this bed.
Yep.
All right, well, so we both mad then. Okay, so we got tickets to the concert. Get dressed.
How many times have you been engaged, Cheyenne?
I've been engaged 4 times, and I called off 2 weddings, because the first 2 were just engagements. We didn't have like the wedding plan,
Right.
save the dates, a dress. The last 2 I had wedding dresses, engagement party, bachelorette party,
Wow.
wedding date, save the dates, shipped out, invitations, people booked their flights. Yeah.
So what do your friends say to you and family members, knowing that? Would they even take it seriously if you got engaged again?
They say, girl, call us on the day of the wedding and we'll show up. Other than that,
Tom, I ain't booking no flights.
leave us alone. Like,
Now, 4 times engaged. Do you see why Cam Newton was a little bit suspect? Do you see a little bit why Cam Newton was looking at her some way? Do you see why Cam Newton was a little bit triggered by that moment? Now, Cam Newton is not the best person to talk about anybody because he was also in his absolute manner way. But 4 times, I'm not here to judge. I'm here mainly to be able to bring another understanding to this. We already know, she told us already that she is a runner and track star. She admitted that she is a runner and a track star. But 4 times?
When you look back at that, and you've always said that you had amazing fiancés and all that type of stuff. I never hear you discredit the men that you dated, and you take full accountability for the relationship going awry. Why is that? Is that true, or is it that they were so great and you were so? I don't even want to say toxic. I would just say this because certain things just not supposed to work out. I do understand that. Is it they just wasn't supposed to work out, that you understood it? Or do you believe that you were so unhealthy in all those experiences that you were the cause of the relationship not working?
no, I don't think I was the sole cause of it not working. There were things that they did as well that, my first fiance, we just had 2 different dreams. We grew apart. He wasn't a man that was really into, and every time I talk about this, I'm still protecting both of them.
Yeah, of course.
Just to be honest.
As you should.
He just wasn't a man who wanted to work or have work ethic. He made some money, but I was a breadwinner. And then he got to the point where he openly, honestly told me, listen, if it's just you, me, a dog in a shack, I'm good with that. And I openly told him, but baby, I'm not. So where do we go from here? Because I'm going to build this thing. And so I'm going to build this thing means I'm going to have to carry you and sustain, because you're not asking me to carry you, but you're saying, I don't want that, which is fair, right? So with him, I just said, well, we're growing apart. We're just going 2 different ways. I'm just not okay with having a man who is okay with pretty much being like the house husband. To be honest with you, he was just like, I'll be the house husband. I don't want.
Now, sis, what else? House husband in what sense? Because we need to talk figures, right? Because it sounds like she's obviously sounds like she's past the 6-figure bracket. So when you say that he needs to be a house husband, what do you actually mean by that? Okay, what do you actually mean by that? You know what I'm saying to you? I'm not saying, again, women want a man that is ambitious. I absolutely understand that, so I'm not denying that. But it's the fact that we got to a point of engaged, and then you found out that he didn't want to go any further. What does that really? And listen, there are some men who won't be honest at the very beginning. I'm not going to say that at all, right? But what are we really saying here? Like, we're saying that all of a sudden he flipped and then said he didn't want to. It's not like he didn't want to work. No, he didn't want to reach your level. So that's what I'm looking at. I'm like, oh, okay. So he didn't want to keep, I guess, going further, maybe. Maybe he had reached a level of comfort. Is that what we're saying? Because he said he's comfortable with a dog in a shed, whatever. I don't know. It's a bit interesting. I don't know. I'm just being very careful the fact that she said that, and I'm not accepting it as it actually is. But hey ho.
Want that. And I'm a hybrid. The submissive piece of me, the very soft feminine piece of me, couldn't tap into my intense submissive part because that was a bit too beta for me. And I don't mind. I like a hybrid man, an alpha submissive man. I don't mind you going in your beta and going your alpha.
Yeah.
That's sexy to me. But it can't be to the point where my alpha always has to be present for us to be equally yoked. That's not fair to me. The second guy, one, he has 2
Which is fair. I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at the fact that the guy was alpha then beta. Felt like he's I definitely understand that. I do understand that part where you feel like you can't be in your feminine self, but when you were in your feminine self, that's when you were younger, by the way. You're moving mad. You're moving mad. So I think she tried something a little bit different. I honestly, Renee, I agree with you. I think she likes hood dude. I said this in the beginning. She likes the thugs that are reformed. She likes a reformed thug. I think that's the honest truth, and I think she needs to be honest about that with herself, because remember, her dad was in drug game. So I think she needs, and this is why I'm saying that this high function hybrid is nonsense. What you're really telling me is you want a thug that's reformed. You want a thug that's reformed, which means I think you need to reform yourself as well, sis. There's still some work around the edges that we need to do. Okay? All right? She wants a reformed thug. It sounds like. You know what I mean? All right, last minute or two because I got my hours actually up now. So
beautiful daughters who are adults. And there were some things that were inappropriately done in that relationship, not infidelity, not cheating. And because regardless of what those things were, he was still very good to me. And I have the utmost respect for his daughters. There are certain things that I won't expose because I would never want them to look at him in a way that's his, responsibility to have that conversation with him. His daughter even asked at some point when I called off the wedding months later, because we were still having a relationship. We were pretty close at least. And she was like, well, what happened? And I even told her, you got to have a conversation with your father.
Yeah.
Because I explained, even though me and him are not together, there was still a wife or, future stepmom kind of role, not kind of a role I would have taken him. I'm not fleeing from that just because, I still respect him. But there were things that have to do with some hostility on his end that I knew being married and pregnant and having a family with that kind of hostile environment would not be healthy, because I also know that as loving and relaxed as I like to be, if you're going to create a war zone in this house and think that you can be hostile in a certain energy, it's going to be a problem.
Number 3.
It's going to be a problem.
Guy number 3, what happened?
Oh, well, that was it. I only had 2 guys I called off the wedding. The first 2, I don't
when you was
really.
engaged. Oh, so you don't count the 2?
I don't count them because it was like in my early 20s. Yeah. So those relationships kind of just like dwindled out just because I was in my 20s. But the last 2, which were.
Yeah, you don't count the first 2. Ma'am, how can you not count the first 2? You were engaged. How can you not count the first 2? It doesn't matter whether you're 20 or not. How can you not count the first 2? You know what I'm saying to you? How can you not count the first 2? You were still it was prominent enough for you to be engaged 4 times. So the first 2 we should, you know what I'm saying to you? Listen, you don't have to expose it, you don't have to tell us it, but you're saying that it's not important? Ma'am. Ma'am. Something ain't quite right here, ma'am. Okay? All right? Something isn't quite right. Is it? Something isn't quite right.
Or we had weddings and dresses. We were really going to get married. The family was tied in. But I'm happy I called him off because, one, let me say this. If I was going to base being with a man with kids off of my last fiance who had 2 beautiful daughters, I would do it. Because the way he structured that, to his defense, was A1. I mean, we had no issues. There was nothing. The girls would even call me and say, hey, Shai, what are we doing for Dad's birthday? What are we doing for Father's Day? What are we doing for Thanksgiving? I would cook and call everybody over and have family meetings and be like, we blend in this family because we're about to get married and I'm going to get pregnant. So, I even had conversations with the girls one-on-one. Like, if you need anything, you have questions about me when I first met them, ask me.
Which is ironic because now one of your core values is never to date or marry someone with kids. But you had a great experience with a man with kids. Now why?
And we talked about this too. I love this. There were times where we'd be laying in the bed, day goes perfect, nothing happened, and we're getting closer to the wedding, or not even that, we're just, engaged, and it would come up. And I'd always be able to be open and talk. I'd say, I'm having those feelings again. And he's like, because he knew from the beginning I didn't want to be with a man with kids. He knew too, I was very honest. We just happened to fall in like and then start really, being into each other.
No. He was giving you the D, okay? He was giving you the D, sis, okay? That is the honest truth. He was giving you the D. It is what it is, okay? All right? He was giving you the D. And see, if we're really honest about the choices we make, let's be honest, the delash will get you fixed up. A good delash will get you fixed up, right? Okay? A good delash will get you fixed up. And so in reality, I want you to understand, okay, all right, when she says obviously, hey, you got to a point where you went with a guy who had kids. Yeah, you tried it, but you actually got deep enough to go and want to get engaged, which means what was happening? The delash was hitting every single time. The delash will never fail you. I'm telling you, the delash will never fail you. It will never fail you. Listen, so when you get caught up in that, okay, all right, okay, when you get caught up in that, you end up in this place, okay? But these are her choices, by the way. These are nobody else's choices but herself.
And before you know it, I'm living there. Now we're in a relationship, and in which, by the way, he was 14, 15 years older than me. So coming back to what I was saying, and he would say, well, what's those feelings? I'm like, my values, my preferences are starting to inflame in the sense of, you don't want a man with kids, Shai. But we would maturely talk about it. And he would say, baby, listen, well, he would tell me, well, what are you going to do? Because not that I would ever want to, I love my girls, but they're here, they're here. I'm a father. So
he's saying nothing I can change.
What can I do for you with the reality? And I would say, I don't think there's nothing you can, because again, It was just something I didn't want as a preference, not
Explain
something
why.
he
Explain
did.
why, so people can understand that.
Well, because for me, my idea, for me personally, of a family is me and my husband and our kids. One. Two, it's not the kids, because I love kids. Me and his daughter will go work out together and go.
I'm not mad at her for wanting her own kids and everything. I'm not mad at that. I think that's fine, right? She can do whatever she wants. And men do this as well. I agree with it 100%. But something's not quite right. Here's why I'm saying something's not quite right. Because although she's talking about her experience, right? The reason why she didn't go through it, she said, wasn't because she wanted her own kids. Because there was behaviors that he was exhibiting that were a problem. There were behaviors that he was exhibiting, whether it was a baby mother drama, or whether it was the fact that maybe, he spent too much time with the kids or didn't spend enough time with the kids. I don't know. Whatever it was, there was something to do with the kids and the structure that wasn't working for you. Before we get to the point where you say about not wanting kids. So something else was at play. You know what I'm saying to you? And of course, she's protecting them. I understand that. So I'm not.
Go eat, and when I would invite him, she would be like, "Why you got to invite him?" Right? Like, we want our time.
One-on-one
and I
time
said,
with
"Girl,
you.
this your daddy, because he gonna come." Right?
Yeah.
I always having his back. But I would say, but for me, I don't believe that anybody, male or
Wait, hold on. Maybe I'm projecting a little bit here. Maybe I'm being too detective here. The story she just told was this: she goes out with the daughter-in-law. Sorry, yeah. Goes out with the daughter, his daughter, whatever, and the daughter wants to spend time with her, but she would invite the man out with them, and she would say, "This is your daddy." That tells me the issues. Maybe he wasn't as hands-on with the daughters as she liked. Maybe that's the actual issue. Yeah? Because why is it that you are going to dinner with the daughter, it's meant to be your time, but you invite him to come, and then when the daughter complains, you say, "Well, that's your daddy." Well, you knew it was going to be you and daughter time, so why would you invite the dad? Unless either he doesn't have a good relationship or you're uncomfortable with kids. Right? We can have several deductions. We don't have to make it one way. Maybe you're uncomfortable with kids being a one-to-one, right? Because why would you need to invite him when you already said when you and the daughter going out to do what you got to do? Like have mommy and daughter time. Like it's, you know what I'm saying to you? And you love kids, so why would you invite him to the party to come and have dinner with you? And then add the word, "Well, that's actually your dad." Okay.
female has to, it's a preference, has to take on you and your decisions previous to me. I think we all have the right to say, "Listen, I love you, but I prefer not to take on your decision," even let's say to be an attorney. Let's take our kids to be an attorney because you travel a lot.
Yep.
I don't want a man who travels a lot. Doesn't make you a bad man. To me, that's no difference than me saying, I don't want to take on a man who has beautiful kids, who I probably would love and blend with, but I don't want to have to help you manage your past decisions. When I come in, I don't come in with kids. If a man tells me, "Doc, look, man, I love you, I'm in love with you."
And again, nothing wrong with that at all. If you don't want to date a man that has kids, I'm not mad at it. You know what I'm saying? But sis was at the engaged point. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, sis was at the engaged point knowing that she don't want to date a man with kids. Like, that's my only thing. So that's what I'm going to say. You know what I mean? So something to go on there. That's what I'm going to say. Something to go on there. You know what I mean? Something that's not being said. And it might not necessarily be her. It might be, like, as Elsie said, it might be a baby mama issue or whatever. Something just wasn't quite right there. But listen, I'm going to leave it there. My time is up. I think I've got one more live to do today as well. So we'll see what I'll go on. But yeah, no, this was interesting. That's what I'd say. This was interesting. So it was interesting to see. I can't lie to you. If you haven't done so already, make sure you guys are signing up to our 100 Club. We've got it next week as well, 4th of October. Make sure you join us next week for the 100 Club. We're back again. Listen, we want to be able to have a conversation offline on Zoom. You get me? Yeah? It's not always we have conversations here. So if you haven't signed up, go and sign up. The link is down below in the description box. Make sure you get involved. Make sure you come and enjoy the festivities of conversation. We would love for you guys to be a part of the behind the scenes conversations. Come and tell us your truth, man. You know what I'm saying to you? We like to hear your perspectives as well, okay? All right? So we're going to love you and leave you, all right? And don't forget, okay, to join the live a little bit later on, and also join the 100 Club as well. We'd love to see you guys and have some more conversations, okay? All righty. All right, we're going to love you and leave you this little bit.
Ika Turkson, writer and producer for Ito, and I'm here to announce an exciting opportunity for all of our food lovers and adventure seekers out there.
We are giving you guys the opportunity to come to Accra, Ghana for just $6. Yes, I said it, just $6.
Imagine exploring the bustling streets, the vibrant markets, the iconic nightlife in this inspiring city that helped us build Ito. But that's not all. The lucky winner can join us this December for all the excitement and celebration. As you know, Accra has a lot to offer, from all the unforgettable moments and festive activities. Don't miss out on this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to experience Ghana with Ito. Enter today and you could be our lucky winner.